What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another F1 24 My Team Career Mode video. Today we're in Brazil for the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, and I do like this track. I think it's got just enough twisty turns and speedy straights to really tick all the boxes for me. But we're going to do some quick qualifying because it is a sprint weekend, so this is possibly my favourite lap from SQ, which is sprint qualifying. Into turn 1, tip it into turn 2, nice on the track limits, just through there, relying heavily on the curb, and then a bit of DRS and a bit of ERS if you fancy it. Braking just after the 100 metre board to tip it in down to 4th, back on the throttle as fast as you can once the car has kind of settled down from the initial sort of turn in. Through here, drop it down a gear, maybe 2, but stick it in 7th for now. And then down into 3rd, a little bit of a lockup on the front right and a tiny lockup on the front left as we start going through this very twisty sector 2, and then down towards the last couple of corners on this circuit. And it's been a pretty tidy lap so far, no complaints at all. The car's feeling good. Spot your braking point and then mount the curb if you dare, and then try and get the traction out of the final corner, and then it's just full throttle to the line and point the car where you want it to go. Try and cut the track as much as you can there, even give the wall a little bit of a kiss for a 107.492, which is a decent lap time. But where did we actually finish in sprint qualifying? This is the starting grid for the sprint. We did get pole ahead of Lando Norris, which is very important for the Constructors' Championship, as we're including this race, 2 races towards the end. Max Verstappen 3rd, Leclerc in 4th, beating out Carlos Sainz in the other Ferrari. Then we've got Hamilton, Piastri, Russell, Alonso, Perez down in 10th, then the 2 Aston Martins of Gasly and Stroll, Tsunoda, then Ocon, Ricciardo and Albon, and then towards the back of the grid we've got Sargent, Magnussen, Pourchaire, Dennis Hauger, and once again the wooden spoon goes to Kick Sauber. Sorry guys, but it's Hulkenberg and Zhou to round out the end of the grid today. So it's been a decent qualifying for us as a team, mainly because Leclerc also getting up there in sprint quali. So all we can do really is just, bolt on the best tyres we can, which are going to be the softs, and sprint to the checkered flag. So here we go then, all the lights are on. Now they're out as we go racing here in Brazil. A decent start of the line. Norris on the mediums gets beaten by Verstappen straight away, and even Leclerc, our teammate, who seems to be side by side with the Ferrari of Lando Norris, as we're trying to just hold on to this lead and claim as many points as we can and break the toe from Max Verstappen behind, so that he can't really use the slipstream to his advantage. Very close on track limits there, but Leclerc has managed to claw his way up into 2nd just after a couple of laps, which is very nice for us because, again, we're 20 points behind in the championship as it stands at the moment. With the sprint weekend, we do have a really solid chance at making it a double world championship year for our team, as we have a bit of an oversteer moment under traction, and that's put us at massive pressure from Leclerc. Thankfully it's our teammate, so swapping positions with our teammate doesn't really change the standings too much for the constructors, but it also puts us under pressure from Verstappen behind. But I guess it's sort of a blessing in disguise really, because we can defend pretty hard against these guys, use our battery wisely, whereas I'm just worried Leclerc's not really going to be looking too much in his mirrors and can't really defend necessarily as hard as we can. I'm not sure, but I trust my own hands more than I trust Leclerc. But thinking about it, we're on the last lap of the sprint race. We're looking around the outside down into turn 4, and we do give Leclerc the position back, but I didn't realise at the time that Max Verstappen is right here as well. He's, along with our side-by-side moment, Verstappen's made up all the time in the world and is actually challenging now through sector 2, but there's not really the momentum around the outside in that turn, which is turn 9. Now we're heading on to the final corners of the sprint, and it's pretty clear Leclerc's going to take this one. I kind of want that for him as well, because if anything, that's going to give him P2 in the championship as well in the drivers. We've already won the drivers championship for the year, for this season, and it's a nice 1-2 for the team.
Top job, mate, top job, yes! I was a bit worried about this one at the start of the weekend, but man, you pulled through. Thank you, well done.
I wouldn't say I needed that much praise. Maybe that was the radio to Leclerc, but yeah, a nice 1-2 in the sprint, and it's straight back into qualifying for the main event, the reason we're all here. And a nice tidy turn 1. Can we maximize turn 2? Yes, we can. Very, very close on the track limits there, and all over the inside curve, just to minimize the distance that we're going to travel around this circuit, because, you know, in sort of the top tiers of qualifying, every meter matters. And yeah, it's a decent turn 4 as well, actually, for all intents and purposes, as that was a huge power slide going for us there. And I think that's the reason why I wanted to keep this qualifying lap in particular on the table, and to show you guys that, well, you know, even if the car is hooked up and you're feeling comfortable with it, you can have massive moments. That could have been qualifying over, which would have destroyed our Constructors' Championship hopes. But thankfully, yeah, the F1 gods were with us on this day, because we somehow didn't just spin and collide with a wall. Not quite like we collided with that wall in SQ1, but it's a 1:07 for us. But was the rest of our qualifying laps good enough for pole position yet again? No, they weren't. Lando Norris learned his lesson from sprint qualifying, and we are only a couple of hundredths just behind that Ferrari. Leclerc gets P3 though, that's a great achievement for him. Then Gasly, Alonso, Verstappen, Russell and Stroll. Sonoda, then Piastri. I'm looking for Sainz. There he is in P11, Carlos Sainz, followed by Hamilton, Esteban Ocon, Dennis Hauger, Alex Albon, Magnussen, Zhou Guanyu and Hulkenberg. Kick Sauber really got their act together today. Sargent, Ricciardo, Perez with a penalty, and Teo Pourchaire picking up the wooden spoon. So, yeah, crazy qualifying. Norris did, you know, just get ahead of us in the end. And it looks like it's going to be a pretty simple medium-hard strategy. And, yeah, just stick with the AI, do what the AI do. Try and minimize the fuel. I think I put 1.3 laps fuel in there, but all the lights are on. Now they're out after a very, very short hold as Lando Norris nails the launch, and so does our teammate Charles Leclerc. Then we've got Alonso and Gasly looking around the outside and down the inside, and a little bit of floor damage there for good measure. And yeah, Mark picked up on that as well, but let's protect Leclerc, I think, for now, and potentially think about getting past Norris at the same time when he's vulnerable after Leclerc has passed him. But moving on to lap 2, seems like a pretty easy maneuver. We've dropped Gasly and Alonso behind. Alonso obviously trying to get past Gasly as he has done now. Leclerc down the inside of the Ferrari. Can he keep on top of it? We're trying to stay as close as possible. I'm not sure who got DRS. It was our teammate Leclerc, as now it's absolutely impossible for Norris to stop the double move of, well, our team, Leclerc and myself. It's impossible for Norris to stop us both getting through when we both have DRS and we're right behind him, and Leclerc is actually ahead of him at the point of the DRS opening. So now it's all about, I guess, protecting Leclerc's lead, keeping Norris behind us, and taking as many points out of Ferrari's Constructors' Championship lead as possible. So I'm going to let him get away a little bit up the road, but try and stay inside the DRS detection. So he's about 1 second now. You might see me burn a bit of battery, especially on this exit. We tip it into the final corner, just trying to stay within it, but Leclerc's absolutely nailed that second sector, and by lap 4 he's disappeared 5 seconds up the road. Massive pressure for us to try and soak up here, as Norris has the DRS. He's going around the outside into turn 1. Alonso's trying to do the same thing. Let's try and keep the McLaren behind us, maybe steal his DRS, give him the space, but he did back out of it eventually. And now Norris is ahead, but we can't let him get away. If Norris gets away, I'm scared he might be able to catch up to Leclerc and take the lead from him, which is only going to dampen our chances at taking the Constructors' Championship trophy home with us at the end of this season. So let's see if we can do anything here in the middle sectors. We have some higher wings than everyone else around us. Just look how quickly we can catch up and really get all over the rear wing of that Ferrari, just filling up his mirrors as much as possible before we head down the start-finish straight, which would ultimately give us a really good chance at an overtake. Alonso's dropping back ever so slightly, as you saw when I just had a quick glance in my mirrors, just to see if I was going to have to look behind me into turn 1 or if I can just focus on looking ahead. But although I put 1.3 laps extra fuel in the tank at the start of the race, that's a huge dive bomb. I wasn't expecting that at all, and I was the guy who raced in this race. I didn't imagine I would ever go for that move. But as I was saying, we put 1.3 laps extra fuel in the tank for this race, and we're already down to less than, well, to about half that amount. And we've been lifting and coasting. You can tell because Leclerc and everyone else is boxed, and Leclerc is 9 seconds behind us. So pit stop time, not too sure. We're probably going to end up coming out around Alonso, maybe a bit further back actually. Further back in that sort of train that's now sort of heading towards the top left of your mini-map in the bottom left of your screen. But yeah, we've really got to save fuel. I don't think we have enough even now to make it to the end of the race while pushing fully, you know. We're trying to lift and coast. We're not losing too much time, but we are going to box in this lap and just get the car slowed down nicely, don't speed, and see where we come out. We do have to save fuel still, but we've got a few laps, fresher tyres than everybody else, and we've got the hards, so tyre wear, not an issue. It's all about the fuel. Leclerc's hopefully going to go and win this race, but I'm kind of scared that the others might be able to catch him. By the others, I mean Verstappen, who's currently in P2, and then Norris in P3. So we'll see what happens with those. But I'm going to keep the fuel kind of MFD open for the rest of the Grand Prix potentially, or until I know I can push. We're going to try and hold it to the inside of Piastri, which is quite lucky that we did because, again, fresher tyres and higher downforce, we should be able to get past him. But we're just going to catch up to Pierre Gasly. Although while I'm looking ahead, we're maybe not looking behind as Oscar Piastri down the inside into turn 1, giving us a little bit of a nudge as we go through, and he's clean ahead. But we do have the DRS, so maybe we can get him back on this straight. Maybe it's going to be the pit straight, because I do like to jump around a bit too much here. So side by side with Piastri, he does have the inside, we have the outside. Are we going to let him give us DRS? Yes, we are. He slams the door shut on turn 2, though. And now we've got all the work to do in towards turn 4 with Carlos Sainz just behind us as well. Remember, this is all about the championship. It's all about the championship. I would rather be behind the McLaren than behind the Ferrari, no matter which way round we are. Even if I was only scoring 1 point. Or no points. I prefer to have the Ferraris behind. The only way we're going to win this championship is if we outscore them. Right now we are with Leclerc in first. I need to make sure it stays that way. That's the only thing we can do. We've got 6 laps left and 0.5 a lap of fuel left in the tank extra. But you can see how rapidly it goes down. Look at this. It's on 0.5 now, 0.49 now, 0.48, 0.47. So if we push 0.46, we are draining. There must be a fuel leak or something as we almost hit the back of the McLaren of Oscar Piastri to get to the inside and claim that apex of turn 1. And what a move that was. That must have been absolute inches away from the rear diffuser and the gearbox of that McLaren. In fact, I actually saw the most detail I've ever seen on the back of their rear wing and it is go time, I believe. We've got to catch up to this train ahead, which does include Lando Norris down in P5 now, after the McLaren of Fernando Alonso now sits himself into P3, and ahead of him Verstappen and then our teammate in P1. So there's a bit of a train here. There's a massive battle going on up ahead. Pierre Gasly watching from the front row as George Russell mounts his assault on that P4 of Norris, and we run a little bit wide actually now, just trying to maximize, change the line a little bit, see where we can get past the Aston Martin to then make our move on George Russell. And yeah, there's all to do in the next 3 laps. I'm not sure we're going to get a podium here, judging by how far Alonso is ahead on the mini-map down below. And yeah, the main thing is take points away from Ferrari. We've already done that in the sprint race. Let's see if we can do it in the Grand Prix as well. But now to the outside of the Aston Martin. Let's keep him pinned to the middle of the road as we're doing the same thing George Russell's doing. Maybe just a little bit better, but George Russell very slow on the apex there. And now trying to get to the inside. Russell kind of blocking that off. Does get out of the way eventually. And now, is there anything we can do against Norris? Not quite. We're going to sit him behind as Gasly, actually. Just sneaking his wing down the inside, but nothing doing there. And now, a couple of laps to go. We're still in this fight against Norris, against Gasly and Russell, to the outside of the Ferrari. The Ferrari braking very early indeed. We're trying to give him plenty of room, and he does back out of it to claim the DRS on the run down to turn 4. We're going to stop the slipstream from happening as much as possible. I'm not just defending, well, fresh air. I'm stopping Norris from having any sort of advantage on us more than he already does. But Gasly's past Norris. Let's hope that the Russell can do the same. And yeah, not too much fuel left. Still over a lap to go, about a lap and a half, and 0.14 laps of fuel in the tank spare, which, as we know from going around this corner, for example, it's already dropped by 0.03 laps. So I'm not confident really that we have all the fuel in the world, but we have managed to break the DRS to Pierre Gasly and Lando Norris, that little gaggle of cars, which has now been joined by the McLaren of Piastri and the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz behind George Russell. So let's hope they can keep them at bay. It does look like it's going to be Leclerc on the top step, followed by Verstappen, then Alonso, and then ourselves as Pierre Gasly's having a little bit of a look in. I think I might actually give DRS to Gasly, which puts us under pressure, but I think we can beat him to the line with our battery. We're still saving some fuel. You can hear us lift slightly into corners. That was a big lift. And yeah, give Gasly the DRS. That'll stop Norris from overtaking him. And that'll, yeah, steal points away from Ferrari as well. Doesn't matter who it is. If it's Gasly, if it's Russell, a McLaren, Alpine, Kick Sauber, whoever you are, come. I'm giving some points to you because I don't want Ferrari to have them. But Charles Leclerc crosses the line in first to claim his second victory of the weekend. We're going to cross the line in P4 with the Ferraris far behind.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Where was this level of enthusiasm yesterday when I did something very similar, Mark? You need to get your ducks in a row, mate. Figure out when to be happy and when to be sad.
Charles Leclerc, what a drive, what a victory. He wins.
And it's always good, Crofty, to get that momentum on your side, and it's really good for your confidence as well. The more confident you are, the further that can take you.
Exactly. It's all about his focus and, yeah, his enthusiasm at this stage in the season.
Welcome then to the podium, our top 3 drivers. What a great effort from them today in a very difficult race.
Yeah, I think it was very difficult. I don't know if everyone had to fuel save in some capacity. I should have left a lot more fuel in there, but to be honest, I thought 1.3 laps of extra fuel was enough to get us through the race, but clearly when I did the race strategy, I was still kind of getting used to the pace and maybe not pushing as hard as I could, which is just, you know, what happens. And practice is there, but it's not going to be perfect, especially with just one practice session in a sprint weekend.
Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Indeed, Crofty, you will. The next one is going to be the finale of Season 2, but let's see who really came out on top this weekend. Skip it over to the race. Charles Leclerc, then Verstappen, Alonso, ourselves, and P4 with the fastest lap. Then Gasly, Norris, Russell, Sainz, Piastri, Stroll, Perez, Ocon, Hamilton, Albon, Magnussen, Tsunoda, Dennis Hauger, Daniel Ricciardo, Logan Sargent, Zhou Guanyu, Nico Hulkenberg, and Teo Pourchaire in last. For the weekend in general, yeah, we did very well there. Leclerc taking home 33 points, we grabbed 20. And in the championship gives Leclerc that P2 I was mentioning before. And we're actually now ahead of Ferrari, all from one weekend. We've destroyed them in Brazil, safe to say. I'm very happy with that. Leading into the last race, all we need to do is maintain position. That's it. But, as I've said in the previous races, other teams are really coming on strong, which could put a massive spanner in the works. Might help Ferrari, might help us. We're only going to find out next week when we drop another video, or maybe in a couple of days, because next week F125 comes out. So I need to be quick about it. But obviously, as you can tell, the highlights are on the screen for you now. There's been subscribe propaganda everywhere in this video. So if you are new and you made it this far, consider it. You don't really have to. That lockup from Leclerc. Oops. Former team. From Norris, I think that was. But yeah, you know how YouTube works. If you enjoyed it, leave a like. If you're new, subscribe, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, let me know in the comments what you want to see in F125. Not that I can change it, but maybe we can collaborate on a design for the car. Because I think while Andretti Cadillac have been very helpful this season with the cash flow, I don't think we're going to need them anymore after this. After we've won the Constructors and got all this lovely cash, we'll be all good. But yeah, that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments what you think. And I'll catch you all in a few days for round 16 and the Season 2 finale inside F124.